In this courtroom, the courtroom of Judge John Kingfield in the small town of Belvedere, New Jersey, two lawyers are preparing for battle. At issue, exactly what happened on the night of February 26, 1989. What is open to debate is what happened in the Bias home that night. Daniel Bias says he came home from a shooting range that night and he had an argument with Lise. He says she got upset and threatened him with one of his own loaded guns he kept around the house. And he says she then went upstairs and put that gun to her head. He says when he tried to take it away, the trigger went off.
That the bullet that entered the left side of his wife's head enters 2.5 inches behind the left ear. The bullet entered back here. The defendant says the decedent was holding the gun here. And every time you think about this defendant, I want you to promise me that you'll think about Lisa Bias. Because Lisa is here with us today.
Objection.
Sustained. The jury will disregard the comment.
I ask you to remember that Mr. Russell has the obligation to prove his case beyond a reasonable doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that when you have had an opportunity to hear and judge all of the evidence in this case, you will find not only that the defendant is not guilty of murdering his wife beyond a reasonable doubt, but I submit that you will be convinced that the episode happened in exactly the way that Mr. Bias will tell you it happened. Thank you.
You may call your first witness.
Officer Thomas Walsh.
Prosecutor Bob Russell's first witness.
Yes, I did.
Police officer who responded to the call that night.
He stated that he returned home approximately an hour before the call, and he had an argument with the victim. He stated that he was watching TV when the victim came downstairs with a weapon and stated, "It's times like this that people kill themselves." He told the victim to go back upstairs, put the weapon away. Approximately 2 minutes later, he went upstairs, opened the door, saw the victim pull the trigger.
All right, now, defendant tells you that his wife came downstairs with a weapon.
Correct.
Did he describe the weapon to you?
No.
He told you that she said, "It's times like this that people kill themselves"?
Correct.
What was the next thing he told you then?
He stated, as I testified before, he opened the door and she pulled the trigger. At that time, the victim was standing in front of the mirror. He stated that he thought she was kidding around when she put the gun to her head in the bedroom, but then she pulled the trigger and the gun went off.
Okay, again, these are your words, sir, or the defendant's words?
I wrote down them as the defendant spoke them.
You do solemnly swear that the testimony you give to the court and the jury on this issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Detective John Flynn was the investigator on duty that night. His testimony allows the jury to get their first pictures of Lise Bias.
This is the photograph showing the body of Lise Bias, the upper portion of her body, along with this gun underneath her right arm.
Can you tell me whether or not this was the weapon that was found under the arm of Lisa Bias as she lay on her back?
Yes, it is.
And Flynn confirms for the prosecution that Bias changed his story.
And we wanted to talk to him further about what happened when he arrived home that night, and to take a detailed statement from him. At that point, he began breathing heavily, and I said that I knew it would be difficult to talk about. At that point, he made a statement to me saying, "I know I said that my wife shot herself when I opened the bedroom door." And I said to him, "I know that. We'll be going into that." And he made a statement to me, "I guess I should tell you, maybe I shouldn't have tried to grab the gun." And when he said that to me, I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, when I entered the bedroom and saw her with the gun to her head, I ran and grabbed for the gun and it went off. And he said, maybe I shouldn't have tried to get it from her. By Detective John D. Flynn, the Phillipsburg Police Department.
The videotaped statement Bias gave in the early morning hours of February 27, 1989.
Would you explain what happened over at the house?
My wife and I had a little bit of an argument. It pretty much calmed down. And the argument was about that she wanted to tell me about a piece of jewelry she saw today. Well, I said, look, you have enough jewelry. I really don't want to hear about it right now. So she got a little mad. And just arguing just a little bit. So I was watching TV and I walked downstairs. She pointed the gun at me and she says, you just got done watching that show. See how easy somebody can shoot somebody? I could have just shot you and not even thought nothing of it. So I told her, stop playing around, just take that, put it back upstairs. She went upstairs, I waited a minute or two, and I went upstairs. And she was standing by the end of the bed, and she had the gun up against her head. And I said, hey, come on, that's enough of this stuff around. I told the other officer, and that's when she shot herself. The gun went off when I tried to take it away from her. When it went off, it was like everything was in slow motion. She didn't move. I don't know why. She did sometimes like she did. She would just one minute she was real happy, the next minute she couldn't bear to even be around anybody. All she kept saying was that she was, maybe today she would fall asleep and she would wake up tomorrow.
This is in the past, she said that?
A couple of months ago, she pulled the gun on me. I had to have the Phillipsburg police come to the house, and then she was going to shoot herself. I took the gun away. They took her to the hospital, and the lady talked to her for a couple hours, and then they let her go.
Did you have the gun loaded?
The gun was always loaded. There was never a full cylinder in the gun. She knew that. She knew very well how to use the gun.
I'm still a little confused about something. If she's holding it in her left hand to her head, she falls forward and sideways. How did that weapon wind up?
I don't know.
I could see maybe if she was holding it in her right hand, maybe.
She was not holding it.
I know, but I mean, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand how that would happen. You're holding it in your left hand behind your head like that. You're falling this way. The weapon's behind you. It's not in front of you. You know what I'm saying?
When she fell, she like hit the end of the dresser and then slid. And when she slid, her body was just going all different ways. I don't know how it got there.
Do you know if you had your finger on the trigger?
I definitely did not have my finger on that trigger. Definitely did not.
How can you say definitely not?
Because her hand, I had my hand on her hand,
Uh-huh.
and pretty much covering the top of the grip when I started to try and take the gun. There's no way my hand hit that trigger. You guys are making me feel like I shot my wife. And I would never do that or try to do that. And now you're making it sound like I did it accidentally.
No, we're just trying to get it. We're trying to get it clear. You were there. We weren't.
Is quick to jump on.
You were in charge of that investigation on that evening, correct?
Yes.
And you took charge of the gun that's been marked as 16 in evidence, correct?
Yes, I did.
Did you at any time on that evening or subsequent to that evening do any fingerprint testing on that gun?
No.
So it's fair to say that we cannot now know whether the fingerprints of Elise Bias might have been on that gun.
Not now, no.
And no testing whatsoever was done to determine that.
No.
Was that your decision?
I would have been the one responsible to do it or have it done, so yes.
Now, there are tests available to test whether or not an individual has fired a weapon, correct?
Yes.
In other words, you can do tests of someone's hands to determine whether there's any residue left there from the firing of the weapon.
Well, there's one that I know of. I don't know of test. There's one I heard of.
Now, Mr. Bias was with you for that entire evening, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever have any such test performed on him that evening?
No.
And had you had that test performed, do you think that the result might be helpful to us in this trial?
Judge,
I-
Judge, I have to interpose an objection at this point.